peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on the Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you like the way that anything is being discussed or broken down, in any other content, please hit that like button. That helps out more than you would know. And it just takes a second. So, what are we? 4 weeks into this quarantine situation right now. Hopefully, you've had some time to go back and check out, any any series or movies and whatnot. Anything that you've missed, music. I just listened to a couple of projects that I normally in my day to day when I have free reign of my ecosystem, I wouldn't check them out. But I circled back and found some things that I actually dig, I actually rock with. But one thing going on here is the start of this podcast between or with host Jemele Hill, formerly of ESPN, now over at the Atlantic, I believe is where she is, and TMZ's Van Lathan, and it's on the Ringer podcast network. So shout out to him, man, for being able to do something that us everyday folk can't do, and presumably creating some content that somebody such as myself gives a damn about. But it'll be interesting to see, do they see it through? We're talking about what, 5 or 6 seasons for The Wire. So they are, I think, what is today, the 15th? So they have a couple of episodes out there on the podcast. Again, I listen to all my podcasts. All these different host sites. You can download the free Podcast Addict app, and it'll go out and pull podcasts from everywhere. I can't find Jemele Hill's podcast. Unbothered, I think, is the name of it. I haven't been able to find it with this, but maybe that's because it's behind a paywall or something. But so I went on Podcast Addict and typed in The Wire or Way Down in the Hole from the theme song from The Wire, and was able to get it. I think it's 3 episodes on there. It looks like they're right over an hour or right around an hour. They have kind of their review of the pilot episode of The Wire. Then they have like some a prologue podcast where they talk about how they came into liking The Wire or how they found out about it, their general opinion of the series going in. And then they also had like another introductory, piece that might have been 25 or 30 minutes in runtime, but just talking about maybe who they are and what the project is about. The Way Down in the Hole, their podcast. The interesting thing, going episode by episode, and they kind of frame out, what they're going to be talking about and discussing. My question quickly becomes, are you really going to be able to do episode by episode, and how many people are going to be here? And that's the dope thing about having a partner, is because maybe it doesn't matter what the reception is or the response is or whether there's an audience. As long as you and your partner want to rock and make time to rock and stick to the commitment, that's all that really matters. So for me, this is some new companion type piece. As a Wire fan, I was going back and I had started rewatching the series a couple of months ago. I got stuck in the middle of towards the end of season 2. I might even be in 3, to be honest. I might be a couple of episodes into season 3. I did a couple of videos, but I was just talking on a season basis. Very little response. I get a comment here and there on the videos. So I guess for me, like I found my friends. I found some friends, somebody else that gives a damn about this source material that I was very much into several years ago. And I'm just wondering, are people going to, because they are who they are, they're celebrities of some kind, They're public figures of some kind. Um, they have the platform in the Ringer. I don't listen to any other Ringer podcast. But I just wanna be nosy and find out, does Jason Wilbur, I don't know what their connection is or what their personal relationship is. But does he get involved and start commenting on Twitter or something, which I'm no longer on? Where does this conversation go outside of the podcast? I guess is what I'm getting at. And then again, if there is no community that's kind of forged out of this, do they make it every 2 episodes? Do they go, if it's 12 episodes a season, do they break it up into quarters? I don't know. But I guess, like I said, for me, it's cool. I need although I don't know if I sit here and listen to every episode, because I'm already talking about what they're talking about, kind of. It's just I don't have the luxury of bouncing ideas and jokes and humor off of another person. You know, so such is life. But for the first episode or so that I've listened to of the podcast, like I said, it's a very it's two writers or two reporters or journalists giving thoughts and some background information. They have relationships that I don't have, in terms of they've reached out and had some conversations with the creators. David Simon, I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head. They probably have reached out and interacted, rubbed elbows with some castmates and some of the actors. Van Lathan said that, he has some kind of relationship with JD, can you think, Bodie? JD Williams? That doesn't sound right. The guy who played Bodie. And so, like I said, what does this grow into? I'm very interested to see, because this source material is from, the early aughts, and at this point, who cares? And for all of us that are diehard fans, like, do we really care to tap back in? Maybe right now it works because we're all quarantined. But once real life resumes, how does it, how does it work? Especially if all of this, if like I said, if that community isn't born out of this. So, but I mean, they're breaking it down in good detail. They're having good discussions. But it is a bit revisionist now. I mean, if you watched it 2 or 3 times, the series in its entirety, now you know what you're looking for. You want to have different thoughts. You want to see it through a different lens. You want to take a different look at certain characters. But it'll never be the same as watching it week to week. And that's the thing. Back then, it's an argument right now about binge watching. Like, I watched the new Ozark season 4 came out. I watched it in 2 days. You don't remember as much. I don't even remember nothing about it now. From 2 weeks ago, I don't even remember nothing about it. I do, but I'm just being extreme. But it's just you never can go back to that first moment when you watched it, and I just don't know if you convince today's people, if they don't like it, if they don't have the patience for it, if they don't value the storytelling, the complexity, the layers, the tentacles of the relationships, the parallels. If people don't care about this, then they don't care. If the winning formula is you need something to happen in the script, so you have so-and-so screw so-and-so, or you take a picture of so-and-so screwing so-and-so, and then you leverage that. I mean, that's kind of the formula now, and it seems to resonate with people. Throw some rappers in there. Everything is kind of simplified. So that's kind of why I stopped, because with my reviews, because who cares? You either like it or you don't. Anyway, to finish this off, check it out. I'd be interested to know what people's thoughts are on it. I know one thing. It seems like Jamel wants to take over the course of this thing until he leaves. Spoiler alert. Till he's off the show. Seems like she's not a fan of Stringer Bell, and I'm gonna disagree with that. I think everybody, all of the principal characters in the Barksdale organization, she was going on about, and they have a discussion about D'Angelo, Stringer Bell, and and Avon. And I think some of these individuals need to do stuff that we're gonna call. She's talking about she's gonna do every episode. She's gonna do some F boy stuff, a F boy update on what Stringer Bell did wrong. But I think he's. This might be an obvious statement, but he's doing some of this F boy stuff because the story needs to be told. The good guy, I mean, the bad guys who aren't really the bad guys in some regards or some respects, they need to lose at the end of this show, at the end of the season. They need to lose. So they're doing things to that end. But what I respected, what I respected about Simon and the way that the story was told and the way that it unfolds is that none of these guys really are moving along in a manner, and you become a fan and you like how slick they are or how thoughtful they are or so on and so forth. You have your respective reasons for why you rock with them. They don't get to somewhere in the show and then they just do something completely out of character of the character just because they need to expedite the show going from A to B. And that doesn't happen now. Now we do things where this character is so great, and now we need to wrap this stuff up. So now this dude who was a G, or who was a genius, or who was brilliant at his hustle, now he just goes and does a bunch of stupid things that in season, you're 4 or 5 episodes in. And now, because we need to wrap the show up, he just goes and does some stupid stuff and throws his whole life away. So now you have Ghost telling his son to turn himself in, and I'm gonna be the lieutenant governor, so don't worry about it. He would never have done that when we met Ghost. So that's the thing in this first review of Way Down in the Hole. You got to keep it in perspective of, at least they gave these characters like excuse me, like an honest death or whatever they call that, a clean death, I think is what Maximus asked for in Gladiator. They give everybody a clean death. Like they worked their way up to what they were doing and played their role. They played their position, and then as a series of decisions, they met their demise. And but it was being who they were. So they all kind of went out, in for lack of a better word, they all kind of went out on their shields versus just becoming who the writer's room needed them to be, like I said, to expedite the story moving forward. So anyway, that's about it, man. I'm sorry I rambled another 5 minutes. Really though, I just like, it's a great idea. It's dope. Both of them seem to be well versed in the situation, well prepared. Obviously, they're two individuals who give their thoughts for a living and their commentary for a living. They have these different connections that they can tap into for future episodes. They have production to help with mixing in some sound. They have segments or snippets of the show to reinforce, what they're discussing and then break it up. All the stuff that I don't have access to the way that I want to do it. So I'm hoping that it goes well for them and that it's a successful venture. But again, I think they're going to have a hard time convincing people to tune in for, what's this, 6 times 12, 72 episodes? But like I said, if all it is a phone call, or a Skype once a week, and you got somebody else to edit it, do the editing, and put it all together and put it out there. And the Ringer, whatever they promoted it, maybe it's guests, a special guest on to enhance it. Maybe it works. But like I said, the comments that I've been getting from it, and the lack of patience, the lack of valuing, if you don't like the back stories, the origin stories of these characters, and you don't care for the city hall politics, the world just might not have time for this stuff. Nope. Who cares? The stuff I talk about. Obviously, nobody cares. People pay me no mind. So if that's what it is, that's what it is. But at least they took the time. I like that they made the commitment to start out on this thing. And we'll see what happens with it. My name is Wood. Thanks for rocking with me. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember, as always, man, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.